Hello, dear viewer, and welcome to another episode of the Catholic League Forum. I'm Mike McDonald, Director of Communications of the Catholic League, and joining me today is Bill Donohue, President and CEO of the Catholic League. Now, Bill, I think we probably need to change it up this week. Obviously, the big news story this week, has been the election. And, there's all sorts of different things we could talk about, but...
Not climate change.
Not...
It's not an issue for the Catholic League. We're not for or against it. We just simply say it's not our issue.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the polar bears. But moving on to the actual substantive issue that, from a Catholic perspective, from the Catholic League's perspective, a policy issue that matters the most is probably the issue of life dealing with abortion. Can you give us some thoughts on that?
Well, I'd like to start by asking you, because you had a good observation. You've heard from some people who are on our side. They're pro-life people. We don't doubt that. But they were questioning whether or not the whole fight over Roe v. Wade was worth it. Expand on that.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting. Like every good political junkie, I was watching election night, talking to some buddies from back in D.C. The news and people I was talking to, like, well, maybe we shouldn't have gone with the Dobbs decision. This was
overturning Roe v. Wade.
Overturning Roe v. Wade. It was very bad. It's hurting us electorally. Look at what it's doing to the Democratic base. It's getting them out. I don't think that captures the whole image here. I do think part of it is that America's very partisan, and you play to your base, and this is something, unfortunately, that does motivate certain elements within the secular progressive movement. But
what's the real concern?
Right, life itself.
What should be the number one?
Right,
concern?
that's there's no good time to make a ruling on a constitutional matter. If something's wrong, if slavery was wrong and it was in place somewhere, well, hold on, guys, we don't want to offend Southerners, so we're gonna wait. No, at some point you do have to stand up for a constitution. And beyond that, just the moral fact that life itself is something that's precious and should be protected. Maybe we never win an election again. It's the right thing to do, so we should always keep that in mind. It cuts both ways at the end of the day. The pro-life side should be just as equally motivated to vote just as well.
And first of all, the overturning Roe v. Wade led to a 6% decrease in abortions.
Right.
Now, let's not get caught up in statistics. 6%. How many people are we talking about? These are human beings. So we've already won in that sense. We've won to the extent that 6% of babies who would have been aborted were not aborted. So that is a major victory which our side needs to get through its head. And there's another issue here, too. The country is torn, Mike, on this issue of abortion. Now, look at the 5 states where we lost. Two of them were kind of conservative states like Montana and Kentucky. The other one's Michigan, Vermont and
California.
California on the left. But, we have to look at this prudentially. Obviously, we're pro-life, strongly pro-life, but we want to win. Winning means maybe not going for the whole package 100% now, all or nothing. Listen to this, people. John Paul II, St. John Paul II, was asked about this, and I'm paraphrasing. Can anybody ever vote for a guy who's pro-abortion? His answer was yes, provided 2 things. Number 1, he's running against somebody who's even more pro-abortion. Those are your 2 choices. Both are pro-abortion, one moderately so, one an extreme one. You can vote for the moderate guy. He's not as bad, provided that, here's the other condition, you work to try and change him and the people who would vote for him, change their minds and push them to the pro-life side. In other words, what he's saying is that you don't put your head in the sand and say, well, we lost. That's what the other side wants. You get what you can get now. And if you take a look at these initiatives in Montana, Kansas lost in the spring, and elsewhere, Kentucky, they tried to get everything right now. The other side then will talk about these extreme cases. Of course, there's always extreme cases trying to demagogue the issue. Maybe we start off with what we can get, which is to say nobody wants 3rd trimester abortions, okay? Start off with protecting life, fetal heartbeat, and stuff like that, and then you can go from there. Otherwise, there are people, I remember when partial birth was outlawed by the Supreme Court, there were people on our side who were against what the Supreme Court did.
Right.
You know why? Because they said you didn't outlaw all abortions.
Mm-hmm.
Look, as I just said, we saved 6% of the human beings already by overturning Roe v. Wade, and you get what you can get, and you keep moving toward the direction. But if you want all or nothing and you wind up with nothing, then you become part of the problem.
And to expand on that a little bit, Bill, I've worked on campaigns in the past. Before coming to the Catholic League, I've been on good campaigns, I've been on bad campaigns, some campaigns that were really underfunded and people got out there and worked very hard and didn't win at the end of the day, and other campaigns that had everything in the world and it just turned into a drinking holiday for these guys that were supposedly knocking on doors. I think on the pro-life side, we have a lot of good people that heart is in the right place, and they're pushing very hard, as they should. Life itself is precious, and that's something to be celebrated in and of itself. But it's not just enough to do well, we're pro-life, we're going to go out there and contact, try and get some people out, do a little bit of get out the vote effort. I do think as a pro-life movement, there does need to be some emphasis on making campaigns a little bit sleeker, getting the messaging right. Like you're pointing to Montana, one of the big thing there was it was born alive. If a child survives an abortion, which again I think that's pretty much across the board. Everyone should be there. But you got the big money coming in from out of state. You've got every left-wing liberal group out there making this. Oh, this is a fundamental attack on women's issues, and we're not getting the airtime. We're not getting the media is obviously in the tank for the pro-abortion side. But I listened to a lot of podcasts, watched a lot of news. No one was talking about the vote in Montana, and we also on our side, the champions of life, we also need to make these national issues as well. And if they're going to do that, we need to respond in kind.
Well, and not only that, but yes, we lost with the ballot initiatives. Maybe they were a little bit too extreme. But remember, look at all the pro-life people who were elected. An awful lot of pro-life people were elected this last time around, and the guy who was the number one pro-abortion guy driving everything, Sean Patrick Maloney, right? Not far from here, from New York, at the Hudson Valley, okay, just up the river from us. And this guy was the head of the campaign.
The DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign
right.
Committee.
Sean Patrick Maloney was one of the poster boys for abortion. He lost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some good things happened on Election Day for the pro-life side.
Yeah, and to double down on that point, Bill, he was the one that said, he writes all the checks for the campaigns, and he was saying, well, this is our strategy, guys. We can turn out people on abortion. Yeah. Which, again, is a very sad and disturbing thought that you think your base will respond to the destruction of innocent life. Something to just keep in mind in other elections. But
And also, people, we've gone after Republicans and Democrats alike, and we will continue to do so. There was a guy in New Jersey who we had a problem with early in the year, or maybe it was last year, I'm not sure, Mike McDonald.
Malinowski, yep. This year he was complaining about the parents getting involved.
The parents
in
are having too much,
meetings.
the parents have too many rights with the school boards, and we should ignore him. We came down his throat.
Yeah.
He was basically telling, as we see this now going on with some other guys, they're basically saying that parents shouldn't have the same rights as the state. The government, in the form of the school superintendents and the teachers' unions, they should eclipse the rights of everybody else. He took it on the chin. He lost to some guy, was it Tom Keene Jr.?
Junior, yeah.
Okay. And I think it was Robert Lawler. I don't even know these guys who beat Maloney. So there were some good things that happened. Our side cannot get discouraged. And at the same time, we should be realistic. Be prudential. Okay? Be principled, but be prudential. Get what you can get. And come up with some legislation that is more likely to appeal to independents. Because the other side is using scare tactics. We're not going to be able to stop them on that. No. That's who they are. They're demagogues. But at the same time, there were some good things that came out of this election.
And just, I think something else that, from a Catholic perspective, I think our dear viewer would appreciate this. In Kansas, which was in August, but Michigan this week on the ballot referendum, the leading supporters of the pro-life side were the local dioceses out there. They gave more money than anyone else. They churned out more volunteers, which is, speaks very well to the Catholic Church's position on this. We've been fighting this since '73, and we're still doing it. So, this is a proud moment. Even though you didn't win, you still put on a good show. You went out there and fought your very hardest. But we're going to need to obviously make more friends, more allies, get more people involved. But the Catholic Church has led the way, and even though it didn't necessarily work out on some of these initiatives the way we would have hoped, they still had the courage to stand their ground.
Yeah, this battle is going to continue because ultimately abortion is a matter of culture. It's a matter of morality. It's a matter of the individual changing your heart and mind Remember the guy who led the way, Dr. Bernard Nathanson, the abortionist who eventually became a Catholic? What changed him when he saw the sonogram? If we could get more pictures of sonograms, I'm not talking about pictures of the aborted baby. I'm talking about something that will persuade people to logic and reason, and they'll see this. That should be done more in the classroom, and I think we should begin with more Catholic schools, quite frankly,
Yes.
showing pictures of the sonogram. It's undeniable fact. That is a forming human being. It's a human being which will, if you allow it to have its natural form of development, will come out to be the natural person that we all do. Unless you have some artificial means. So I think that science is on our side, morality is on our side,
Yeah.
and the Catholic Church is on our side.
Yeah. So, Bill, I feel like this is probably a good point to wrap this up. Obviously, things could have gone better. Dear viewer, if you are interested in anything else going on with the Catholic League, do check out our website, catholicleague.org. We'll have a link in the description below. Bill, you had a couple of good articles out this week, just kind of taking a look at some of the broader cultural trends we're seeing. So definitely recommend giving those a good read, dear viewer. As always, if you can give this video a like and subscribe, that will help us get the message out, beat Big Tech's algorithm, get more people seeing it. And thank you so much for watching. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.